You're young, I happen to be 17 years old. You're driven. And your aspirations aim for early success in life. So in today's video, I'm set to disclose the 7 principles tailored for teenagers and individuals in their early 20s aspiring to achieve millionaire status. Now, I hit my initial $1 million mark at the age of 18. Despite what you may come across on TikTok, I want to emphasize that this is far from the norm. It deviates from the usual in every aspect, but it's because I adhere to these 7 principles. What I'm about to share with you today not only propelled me to reach $1 million at 18 but has also contributed to accumulating a net worth in the tens of millions by the age of 23. So, I'm sharing insights from my own journey, but I want to make it crystal clear that, despite anything you might hear, a significant part of why I find myself in this position is attributable to luck or, in my opinion, the grace of God, and timing. So, please keep that in mind. The initial principle you need to grasp if you aspire to become a millionaire in your teens or early 20s is that to be a king, you must first be a pawn. This is a significant concern within our generation. When I say our generation, I include myself, although I was raised with very traditional values regarding respect. My background is a blend of Eastern European and Middle Eastern influences. Growing up, there was no alternative. You learned respect and understood the pecking order. From a young age, I imbibed the principle of respecting my elders. That's why, even today, I find myself sitting across the table from individuals who, frankly, may not have achieved the level of success I have, but I keep quiet and listen. In my culture, listening to your elders is a fundamental value. This doesn't necessarily mean absorbing everything they say, but it does mean giving them your attention and respect. Growing up in an environment that emphasized learning respect, I came to understand that to be a king one day, you must first embrace the role of a pawn. You need to earn your stripes. I earned mine at a very young age, initiating my first entrepreneurial ventures when I was just 14. Through these experiences, I discovered what it meant to work with clients and, frankly, to be considered their junior. I grasped the concept of paying my dues, no matter what. It's akin to when you're young and join a football team, you start as the ball boy. At the conclusion of training, you're the one expected to shoulder the responsibility of carrying all the equipment to and from. Going through these steps is essential to one day ascend to the role of captain. You don't just walk in, especially as a young person, and suddenly become the captain. This highlights a challenge in today's social media-driven society. People look at things, look at individuals, and think, I can jump from here to there, and I deserve it for some reason. I encounter this even today. People ask, hey, why do you recommend business models you used to engage in? Why not recommend what you're doing right now? Do you realize how foolish that sounds? Do you comprehend the reason behind my recommendation of business models I pursued when I initially embarked on my entrepreneurial journey or within the first 3 years of it? This is not in the context of my current status as I approach my 10th year as an entrepreneur. Have you considered why I advocate for businesses that I started as a pawn, as someone with no resources, connections, or funds? The businesses I suggest now have millions of followers, subscribers, and tens of millions of dollars. I understand why I believe this is better than that, but here's the point I'm making. The younger generation tends to look at things and insist on jumping straight to the finish line. Remember, to be a king, you must first learn to be a pawn, and there's nothing dishonorable about that. There's honor and nobility in starting from the bottom of the pecking order, being reserved, respecting the process, and understanding that you will eventually ascend the totem pole. Now, the next principle for teenagers aspiring to become millionaires is to dress to elevate. What I mean by that is, when you're young, people might automatically discredit you, and you don't want to exacerbate the situation by the way you dress. Consider this, a 30-year-old could be dressed in high-end labels like Gucci and Balenciaga, wearing eccentric shoes and all. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against it. There are times when I feel comfortable dressing in streetwear. However, if I'm heading to a crucial meeting, I can assure you I won't be dressed like that. My point is, you can encounter a 30-year-old dressed in a way that makes them appear 20, while an 18 or 20-year-old may opt for a more traditional and classic style, making them look older. So, the takeaway here is, don't splurge exorbitant amounts on labels and such. I don't think it's a prudent idea, unless you genuinely can afford it, possess a full wardrobe, and occasionally want to inject a bit of playfulness into your style. My top recommendation is to opt for clothing without prominent branding or labels. I'm not suggesting you exclusively go for three-piece suits. Even if you choose a simple black t-shirt, classic trousers that aren't overly baggy, definitely avoiding skinny jeans, and some timeless-shaped shoes, you're not dressing exceptionally, but the point is, you can hold your own in any room. Sometimes, less truly is more. Start by mastering the art of dressing in a classic and timeless manner. As time goes on, you can gradually incorporate suits and double-breasted suits. Before diving into full suits, consider getting some nice blazers that you can pair with trousers for a polished look. Many times, I find myself quite comfortable in a well-fitted round-neck t-shirt. Not as casual as what I'm wearing today, this is more of a relaxed Sunday vibe. But a simple, nicely fitted white or black t-shirt paired with a smart blazer, some trousers, and stylish shoes can create a classic, timeless look that's not overly formal. You'll never be too overdressed in any situation with this approach. Later on, you can explore double-breasted suits, three-piece ensembles, whatever suits your comfort level. The key is to truly understand how to dress to elevate, especially if you're stepping into the world of business at a young age. I'm being straightforward with you about this. I've personally experienced this phenomenon. People will attempt to undermine you purely based on your age. So, avoid giving them any excuse or reason to amplify this aspect more than necessary. Dressing older than your age is a strategic move to counter such biases. Now, on to the third principle for teenagers aspiring to become millionaires: have something external that humbles you. What I mean by this is that many young individuals possess significant ambition, but often lack experiences that humble them. Engaging in activities like combat sports or entering the business world can provide these humbling experiences. In business, regardless of your skill level, the market will ultimately dictate your success and serve as a powerful humbling force. Here's a perfect example from my own experience. I recall being 17 years old, having reached around 15 or 20 grand in my business. Just the month before, I had dropped out of school, and I decided to hire my first full-time employee at a salary of $50,000 a year. For a first employee, especially at the age of 17, this was significant for me. The person even relocated to join my company, which essentially was just me at that point. However, within 3 to 4 days, he quit, packed up his belongings, and returned to his country, stating that he did not enjoy the work. I'll never forget that moment. It was one of the very few times I've ever cried in my life. I remember having a conversation with my mom. Just crying and feeling like a failure. My business was taking off, and I was hiring my first employee, only to have them leave because the work wasn't enjoyable enough, or, perhaps, I wasn't an inspiring leader. That was a tough realization to face at the time. Maybe I wasn't the kind of leader that made my team feel like I would follow you into war. Things are vastly different now that I have 150 employees, and we receive 40,000 job applications a year across my companies. This experience at 17 humbled me, making me acknowledge that perhaps I wasn't as skilled or inspiring as I believed myself to be. It was a valuable lesson. Being labeled a child prodigy. Let me humble you. Regardless of whether it's business or combat sports, having something external in your life to humble you and keep you in check is crucial. Achieving success at a young age can lead to developing an inflated ego, and without external humbling experiences, you might become your own worst enemy. Moving on to the next principle: no casual dating. It's either something serious or nothing at all. If you're in your teenage years or early 20s, focus on building something serious. Avoid casual dates and flings. As a young man, channel your energy into making something of yourself and consider having a serious partner early on. Having a serious partner can provide vital support as you navigate through life. Avoid getting caught up in the casual dating scene with apps like Hinge or Tinder. This dating culture can be brutal and is likely to divert your focus away from your prime years for building and self-improvement. At 19, why try to compete in a challenging dating landscape where successful men worldwide, through platforms like Instagram, have access to numerous women? It's a difficult path to navigate, so either find a serious partner who supports and grounds you or focus on your personal and professional growth without getting entangled in casual dating if you're looking for something serious. I'm sharing this perspective as someone who has experienced both sides of the equation. Even to this day, I appreciate having my share of fun, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. However, I've also learned the value of putting my head down and working tirelessly for years. I recall being 19 or 20, already a multimillionaire, and questioning the point of focusing too much on casual relationships and enjoyment when girls typically aren't looking for guys at that age. It's essential to recognize that, as a guy, you become most attractive to women once you surpass the age of 25. The prime years for attractiveness typically span from 25 to 35, and it truly starts gaining traction at 25. I remember being 19 or 20, thinking, yes, this is great. I'm a multimillionaire, all these things. But let me just keep working. I'm on a roll, I've got momentum. Let me continue this trajectory instead of trying to have the most fun and date girls and all that stuff. So, as I emphasized, no casual dating. Either you're dating someone serious, someone who could be that day one for you. And let me tell you, that day one girl, please take this advice from me, there is nothing on earth more valuable than that. If you found a day one girl, someone who's been there with you through thick and thin, amidst all the experiences like yachts and private jets, which, by the way, I have done and still do. Having that day one person is truly priceless. I want to make it clear that all the yachts and private jets in the world don't remotely compare to having a day one girl who's been there for you from the beginning. Either aim for that, because, believe me, it's the most valuable thing you could ever get in life, or abstain from casual dating. This is your building phase, and you have ample time, especially as a man. I acknowledge that a significant portion of my audience is women, around 10%, and while I appreciate that, I speak directly to men because I grew up without a father and had to learn these lessons on my own. That's why I address the young men out there, absolutely, and I want to emphasize once again that all the material possessions like yachts and private jets don't come close to the value of having a day one girl who's been there with you from the start. It's either you aim for that incredibly valuable connection or choose to abstain from casual dating. This period is your building phase, and you have plenty of time, especially as a man. While I appreciate the diverse audience, with about 10% being women, I direct my words specifically to men. Growing up without a father, I had to navigate and learn these lessons on my own, and that's why I address the young men out there. It's crucial to be cautious about the company you keep, ensuring you're not surrounding yourself with individuals solely for clout or financial gain. That's why building your own strength and becoming a fortress is essential. This way, later on, people can't sway you with money, women, or clout. Keep your circle tight but your influence large. Many should know of you, not necessarily through a massive social media following, but within your industry. Avoid unnecessarily burning bridges and maintain politeness and courtesy. Understand that you can only have a select handful of true friends, genuine allies, and people who genuinely care about you. That's your small circle. Moving on to the next principle, God will always test you to see what you can handle. If you can't handle it, it may be taken away from you. Achieving success and making your first million in your teens or early 20s is commendable, but the real challenge is not just keeping it but multiplying it. The pressure can be immense. Making $1 million at 18 or 20 is great, but sustaining and growing that success every year afterward is an entirely different level of pressure. It's important to uphold the same standard when blessed with success. God, in His wisdom, will test you to see if you can handle the blessings he bestows upon you. This is why having external factors in your life, such as business, martial arts, and personal challenges, is crucial for constant humility. If you don't humble yourself, God may humble you with a ferocity beyond imagination. As swiftly as success is given, it can be taken away. Approach your success with a mindset that avoids ostentatious displays, such as driving around in a G-Wagon and withdrawing large sums of cash for Instagram stories. Engaging in such behavior while neglecting the core of your business can lead to a rude awakening. Before that happens, establish other elements in your life, as I've previously mentioned. Consider having an older mentor or confidant who can guide you and remind you that achieving success once is not something extraordinary. Being a legend means achieving success consistently, doing it back to back to back. That's when you truly become a legend. Now, to tie it all together, the last principle is to invest early and invest as much as you can. If you make money at a young age, try to allocate it into areas where it's not easily accessible. Consider investments like property or physical gold, assets that are less liquid than crypto or stocks, making it harder for the money to slip through your fingers. When you're young, you can be your own worst enemy, often the biggest obstacle to your success. Therefore, it's crucial to push the money away as quickly as possible. Additionally, making a lot of money at a young age might not impress others. Instead, they might attribute it to luck. Instead of showcasing flashy cars and extravagant lifestyle, it's wiser to invest the money. By the time you reach 23 or 25, people may be more inclined to believe in your accomplishments and take you seriously. I hope these principles have been valuable to you. Feel free to follow my Instagram account, and I'll do my best to share more insights and advice. Remember, I'm watching from afar and rooting for your success.